Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into a case that will leave you in complete disbelief. A tragic loss that happened on New Year's Eve, one that will make you question everything you thought you knew about trust, friendship, and the dark side of celebration. Have you ever stopped to think about how quickly life can change? How a night that starts with laughter and joy can suddenly take a horrifying turn? This isn't just a party gone wrong. This is the devastating story of Christine Dacera, a young woman whose life was taken away far too soon. This case is filled with twists, lies, and unsettling truths that we're about to uncover. It's a tragic reminder that sometimes reality is stranger and far more dangerous than anything we can imagine. Before we dive into the chilling details, if you're passionate about uncovering the truth behind real-life mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel, and let us know where you're watching from in the comments. Now let's break down the events of that fateful night and see how everything unraveled. On December 31st, 2020 in Manila, the capital of the Philippines, John Paul D.L. checked into the City Garden Grand Hotel at 11 a.m. Later that day, Christine Dacera arrived, followed by 9 other men who checked into rooms 2207 and 229, both located on the same floor. Just after midnight, hotel manager John Paul K.H. joined the group. The night was full of fun, dancing, and alcohol. Lots of alcohol. At around 10 a.m. on January 1st, Ramel Galita woke up and noticed Christine sleeping in the bathtub. He covered her with a blanket and went back to sleep. When he woke up several hours later, he found her unconscious, her body beginning to turn blue. Christine was quickly rushed to the hospital by 3 of her friends and hotel staff. But when they arrived at the emergency room, doctors pronounced her dead. The tragic news spread quickly and the public was shocked. The first assumption was obvious. What could a group of young men and one girl have been doing together all night? But what really happened that New Year's Eve and what caused Christine Dacera's death would soon be the focus of a thorough investigation. Christine Angelica Dacera was born on April 13, 1997, into the well-to-do family of John Nestor Dacera and Sharon Rose Faa Dacera. She grew up in Barangay San Isidro, General Santos City, and was known for being an intelligent, independent, and outgoing young woman. Christine was not just a loving sister to her 3 siblings, Monica, Chloe, and JJ, but also a hard-working and diligent student. After finishing high school, she moved to the larger and more promising city of Davao, located on the shores of Davao Bay. There, she enrolled in university, pursuing her passion for media and the arts. She quickly made a name for herself as a model, dancer, and active social media presence. In 2017, Christine graduated with honors from the University of the Philippines Mindanao in Davao City, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts in Communication Arts, majoring in Media Arts. She continued to pursue her passions in modeling and theatrical performances, making her a well-rounded and driven individual. On August 5, 2017, Christine competed against 8 other contestants for the title of Miss Silva Davao 2017 at the New City Commercial Corporation Mall in Davao City. She placed second. In June 2018, she participated in an annual fashion show, and from September 2017 to January 2019, she worked as a marketing consultant for Gano malls across Mindanao, including in Davao City, General Santos City, Tagum, Torrel, and Deos. Christine's life was colorful and full of achievements. In February 2019, her dream came true. She moved to Manila to begin working as a flight attendant for PAL Express, a subsidiary of Philippine Airlines. Christine's final flight as a flight attendant was on December 28, 2020. Her sudden death would soon make headlines, sparking numerous discussions and theories. The circumstances surrounding Christine's death became a topic of intense public speculation. Initially, the police suspected that she had been abused and killed by the group of men she had partied with on New Year's Eve. Even though autopsy results and toxicology reports were still pending, without the final findings, the Makati City Police filed preliminary charges of assault and murder against 11 men. The Philippine National Police initially declared the case closed, with arrest made and suspects identified. 3 of the men involved surrendered voluntarily to the authorities. However, the true cause of Christine's death was uncovered through forensic investigation. An autopsy was performed on her body at the Rizal Funeral Home in P City, led by Forensic Medical Officer Police Major Michael Nick Sarmiento on January 3, 2021. The examination concluded revealing that Christine died of a natural cause, a ruptured aortic aneurysm. Yet, the report also revealed bruises on her right arm, thigh, knees, ankles, and foot, along with a linear abrasion on her right thigh. The report further noted deeply healed lacerations and abrasions during a genital exam. Despite the medical findings, the National Capital Region Police Department established a special investigation team to probe deeper into the case. Christine's family, however, refused to accept that a young, vibrant woman could have died from a natural cause so suddenly. At a press conference on January 5, 2021, the Dacera family acknowledged the autopsy report, but criticized it for being incomplete. They called for a second independent autopsy to be conducted. Christine's parents questioned how a ruptured aorta could have occurred naturally. Her family, alongside their lawyer, believed that the aneurysm was likely the result of assault or abuse. They insisted that Christine's death was not a natural one and that the responsible individuals should be held accountable. The investigation revealed that all 11 men who had been with Christine that night were identified, some of whom were her co-workers, while others were friends of her friends, people Christine had never met before. It turned out that Christine had organized the entire gathering herself, booking the hotel room a few days in advance and coordinating the party. Her mother, Sharon, was fully aware of her daughter's friendships with men and had never opposed them. Since childhood, Christine had found it easier to socialize with the male gender, which her family accepted as normal. Additionally, Christine and her friends usually didn't go home for vacation, so meeting up every year became a tradition. Just after midnight on January 1st, Christine managed to call her family to update them on the ongoing celebration at the Makati Hotel and to wish them a happy new year. During the video call, Christine's family was able to see her friends and the festive surroundings, but new speculations have since emerged regarding the abuse allegations. In this case, the main piece of evidence became the video footage from the hotel lobby, which helped the police reconstruct the events of that night almost minute by minute. The investigation revealed that the party was originally planned for room 2209, which Christine had booked herself. The events began to unfold in the late afternoon, with the first key moment happening at 11:21 p.m. When Christine left room 2209 and headed to room 2207. At 11:38 p.m., the entire group returned to their room with Christine walking in last holding her shoes and a glass. At 2:50 a.m., Christine, holding hands with a new acquaintance named Valentine, walked towards room 2207. While they were at the neighbor's room, a hotel employee brought an extra mattress to room 2209. By 2:52 a.m. at Charles, Valentine was seen accompanying Christine back to her room. It was at this point that the footage showed Christine appearing quite drunk. Her walk was unsteady and she was holding a bottle in her hand. The pair stopped at the door where Christine suddenly kissed Valentine, but the man quickly pulled away. After this brief interaction, they both entered the room. At 3:15 a.m., Christine hurriedly left her room and went to her neighbor's room. 6 minutes later, one of the men in her group left that room and headed toward room 2209, presumably to call for his friends. At 3:22 a.m., Christine was seen chatting with another man in the next room on the right side of the hallway, while 2 other men walked past them. Christine seemed upset, and then unexpectedly, she hugged one of her friends. They both disappeared from the camera's view. At 4:13 a.m., John Paul DeLearn was captured on camera carrying Christine Dacera back to the first room. By 4:22 a.m., the camera picked up Christine again at the door of room 2207. It was unclear what brought her there, but she appeared to be struggling to stay on her feet. A man who looked like John Paul DeLearn picked her up by the waist and carried her back to room 2209. Christine appeared visibly intoxicated at this point. By 5:05 a.m., the camera captured Christine laughing as she ran away from a man who appeared to be Luis del Lima. They stopped outside room 2207, and Christine looked relatively normal. The two then entered room 2209 together. At 6:23 a.m., Christine made her final appearance on camera carried by Valentine from room 2207. At this point, she appeared to be conscious. Though the footage painted a picture of a chaotic and eventful night, the most important truth still lay behind the scenes. The party continued until the early hours of the morning. By around 12 noon, Christine was found unconscious in the bathtub of room 2209. Her friends attempted cardiopulmonary resuscitation, but after several failed attempts, they contacted the front desk for assistance. A few minutes later, the hotel manager and head of security arrived at the scene. They used a wheelchair to move Christine down to the first floor of the hotel, and Ramel Gallo accompanied her to the hospital. Unfortunately, the doctors could only pronounce her dead upon arrival. Ramel then called Christine's mother and broke the tragic news. What seemed like a fun party quickly turned into a nightmare. A large group in one room must have been cramped, causing the young people to move from room to room throughout the night in a chaotic manner. However, investigators grew suspicious about the possible use of illegal substances to amplify the effects of the alcohol. When questioned, some of the detainees denied the presence of illegal drugs at the party, claiming that only whiskey and tequila were served. Initially, the investigation focused on the possibility of drugs being involved, especially after one of the detainees stated that Christine had expressed concerns about her drink, suspecting it may have been spiked with an unknown substance. It came to light that guests were instructed to bring their own food and drinks, which fueled speculation that Christine's drink might have been poisoned and could have triggered the aneurysm that led to her death. However, the autopsy report later ruled out this possibility, stating that neither alcohol nor illegal drugs consumed the night before could have caused the aortic dilation or defect. The claims regarding substances were eventually dismissed as no illegal drugs or traces were found in the rooms or on any of the suspects' personal belongings. An extensive search of rooms 2209 and 2207, as well as the neighboring rooms, yielded no conclusive evidence to suggest a violent death. During questioning, Mark Rosales and John Paul DeLearn, two of the detained men, publicly admitted to their unconventional orientation. They both emphasized that Christine was their best friend and that they would never harm her. John Paul also revealed that they had to bring Christine back from room 2207 because she had been vomiting earlier that morning. Ramel Gallo, who had been with Christine, stated that around 10 a.m. he found her in the bathtub of their room. Thinking she was simply asleep, he covered her with a blanket, unaware that her condition was far more serious. Around noon, after waking up and attempting to rouse Christine, Ramel Gallo realized something was terribly wrong. She had turned blue and was no longer breathing. In a panic, he rushed to his friends for help, and the hotel staff advised that Christine be taken to Maddie Medical Center. Sadly, she was pronounced dead on arrival, with the cause of death cited as a ruptured aortic aneurysm. The hospital immediately reported the incident to Makati City Police. By then, the men from the neighboring room had already left. On January 4th, the Philippine National Police issued a statement about the Christine Dacera case, claiming the investigation was nearly complete, despite some missing details and conflicting reports. Police Chief Debold Sinas announced that 3 suspects had already been apprehended while others were still being sought. However, on January 6th, the Makati City Prosecutor's Office ordered the release of the three men in custody, citing a lack of sufficient evidence. Prosecutors emphasized that the evidence presented was not enough to prove that Christine had been abused. And even if abuse were established, they still had not proven that it caused her death. Moreover, it was revealed that the party had been a gathering of men with non-traditional orientations, and Christine, as the only woman there, had been the subject of flirting and attention from her male friends. Ramel Gallo and most of the party participants were stewards and co-workers of Christine at Pal Express, indicating that she was familiar with their orientations and relationships. On January 13, 2021, the Makati City Prosecutor's Office began a preliminary investigation. The official autopsy confirmed that Christine, at just 23 years old, died from a ruptured aortic aneurysm. The prosecutor's office also requested the release of additional reports, including the victim's DNA analysis, toxicology report, and histopathological study to help clarify the circumstances surrounding her tragic death. Christine's mother, Sharon Dyer, strongly criticized the report that suggested her daughter was not abused. She appeared on a news program where she claimed that Christine was abused by a group of men. "If you see Christine's body as a mother, you'll feel the pain that my daughter suffered at their hands. But my daughter can't speak anymore because she's dead," Sharon said in her emotional TV appearance. She pointed out the lacerations and bruises on her daughter's body, which had not been recorded in the autopsy as evidence that the initial report was inaccurate. Christine's family later demanded a second autopsy to challenge the authorities' conclusion that she died a natural death. Their argument was based on the injuries and bruises that were not documented in the first autopsy. Family spokesperson Rick Reyes stated that the injuries to Christine's legs and arms along with her other remains were sufficient evidence that Christine had been abused. He also suggested that the young woman was likely drugged and abused before her death. Christine had reportedly been intoxicated during the New Year's Eve celebration and had expressed concerns that someone had spiked her drink. Christine's parents then filed a formal complaint demanding the dismissal of Dr. Michael Nick Sarmiento for gross negligence and incompetence in preparing Christine's forensic report and death certificate. Dr. Mai Ramos, a friend of the Dacera family, informed reporters that Christine's body underwent a second autopsy. He emphasized that the biological fluids recovered during the second examination had been forwarded to the Death Investigation Unit, which would provide more details after a final evaluation and consolidation of all forensic findings. The pathology results from the Southern Police District Crime Lab, which were later shared on social media, confirmed that the cause of death was consistent with what was initially reported, a ruptured aortic aneurysm. The official autopsy revealed that Christine was not abused on the night of her death. The true cause of death was found to be a defect in the aorta. The continuous increase in blood pressure caused the aorta to weaken, eventually rupturing. According to the report, when the rupture occurred, Christine experienced blood loss, which led to symptoms such as weakness, nausea, and sweating. The blood loss from the rupture ultimately led to her death within hours. The report explained that Christine's aorta had ruptured, causing the lower part of the aorta, the main blood vessel that supplies blood to the body, to enlarge. This vessel runs from the heart through the chest and abdomen, and the rupture of this vessel led to her tragic and untimely death. Since the aorta is the largest blood vessel in the body, its rupture can result in massive blood loss, which can be fatal, as it was in Christine's case. The report also revealed that Christine's aneurysm was not a recent development. It had started long before the tragic night. According to the autopsy, the dilation was a chronic condition that had been present for some time. Had she not passed away that night, the aneurysm would have eventually ruptured under any scenario that caused her blood pressure to rise significantly. The autopsy further indicated that Christine's heart was enlarged compared to a healthy heart, further confirming that she had undiagnosed hypertension. While the death was ultimately determined to be due to natural causes, the widespread misinformation surrounding her death led to severe consequences for the 11 young men who were at the party that night. These men, who had attempted to give Christine first aid, were wrongfully labeled as criminals. All 11 men who were initially charged have since been released from custody. The Makati City Prosecutor's Office sought to correct the public narrative, clarifying that the evidence presented at the time was insufficient to establish any form of abuse. They stated that it was impossible to gather proper evidence at the time, so their initial version was based on signs of deterioration found on Christine's body. Moreover, 2 of the suspects later claimed that they had been coerced by the police into providing false testimony, particularly regarding the presence of illegal drugs at the New Year's Eve party. One of the men involved explained the kiss with Christine, which was captured on the hotel surveillance cameras. According to him, it was Christine who initiated the kiss, and he tried to pull away. Law enforcement faced criticism for not conducting a thorough toxicological examination when Christine's body was found. Ultimately, all charges against the men were dropped due to the lack of any credible evidence. The death of Christine Dacera attracted widespread media attention due to the suspicious circumstances that seemed to contradict the official findings of the Philippine National Police. The case continued to garner significant online attention, especially as new developments came from her family who refused to accept the official conclusion of her death as natural. Christine's mother, Sharon, made an emotional appeal to President Rodrigo Duterte, asking for help in seeking justice for her daughter. "I am an ordinary person, and you too have a daughter. I want to speak out, because I don't want anyone else to become a victim of the cruelty and barbarism my Christine endured," she said. Christine was laid to rest at Forest Lake Memorial Park in her hometown of General Santos, more than a week after her death. In the days that followed, a flood of condolences, reposts, and farewells spread across social media as friends and co-workers remembered Christine. Her case ultimately stands as a stark reminder of how media misinformation can shape public perception and profoundly impact the lives of those involved. As we reach the end of this tragic story, we must return to one thing: the truth. A truth that will eventually, in some form, take its rightful place. Despite the autopsy results, Christine's family remains firm in their belief that their daughter was murdered by those around her, and that there are deeper secrets hidden within this case. Personally, I am still left questioning the bruises and wounds found on Christine's body. Why were they ignored or downplayed? While the injuries on Christine's body may not have been the direct cause of her death, the ruptured aorta stemming from an underlying heart condition explains only part of the story. But what about the injuries that didn't get the attention they deserved? This case is full of inconsistencies, unanswered questions, and strange details that continue to haunt us. And while the facts are laid out for us to see, the ultimate judgment, well, that's in your hands, the viewers. My heartfelt condolences to Christine's family. No words can truly heal the pain of such an irreversible loss. As for the young men involved in this tragedy, whether they are found guilty or not, they will never escape the weight of that night. New Year's Eve for them will forever be marked by this tragedy, and perhaps for the rest of their lives, they'll find themselves silently apologizing for a moment they can never undo. Thank you all for watching. If this case shocked you, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What surprised you the most, and where are you watching from? Stay curious, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next mystery.